Steps 8 and 9 are concerned with personal relations. First, we took a look backward and try to discover where had we been at fault. Next, we make a vigorous attempt to repair the damage we have done. And third, having thus cleaned away the debris of the past, we consider how, with our newfound knowledge of ourselves, we may develop the best possible relations with every human we know. This is a very large order. Is it a task which we may perform with increasing skill but never really finish? There's a surprise. Learning how to live in the greatest peace, partnership, and brotherhood with all men and women of whatever description is a moving and fascinating adventure. I don't know how many times I've sat in 12 and 12 meetings and allowed that to go right over me without really appreciating the implications of it. But the implications of it, to me, tie in perfectly with what we're learning with the Eightfold Path and with the other Buddhist teachings about the ongoing practice of living in a different way than I had previously, and how that gets informed by developing new awarenesses. Here's an interesting piece that I had seen many times. In many instances, we shall find that though the harm done others has not been great, the emotional harm we have done ourselves has. Very deep, sometimes quite forgotten, damaging emotional conflicts persist below the level of consciousness. At the time of these occurrences, they may have actually given our emotions violent twists, which have since discolored our personalities and altered our lives for the worse. As we were doing forgiveness meditation, that type of thing came up for a few people. And I think it's profoundly important aspects to pay attention to. When I think of the 8th step, in my case, and as I've worked with sponsees, a lot about how I think about it is making the list of the people that we had harmed, and then developing or having enough faith to know that we don't have to rush right in and make everything okay right now. The inclination, I think, for me is I want to take care of things, get it out of the way, be done with it, and never have to think about it again. But I think that sometimes that can lead to being impetuous and maybe doing premature 9th steps with people, maybe for where they are in their life, or simply by forcing a situation, hey, can you come talk to me for a few minutes, when it happens to be the day, you just lost your job and you're not particularly open into wanting to hear me fess up to stealing $1,000 for you for cocaine last year. And so making the list and having the faith and looking at it as part of a process that's ongoing for the rest of our life, I think is quite important. And actually that leads right into this quote: good judgment, a careful sense of timing, courage, and prudence. These are qualities we shall need when we take the 9th step. And I think actually as far as the 9th step goes, that is a key part. Another key part for me is knowing what is my intention. For what reason am I doing a 9th step with someone? It's going back to right thought and right intention in the Eightfold Path. Am I trying to get someone back as a friend? Am I trying to get someone back as a girlfriend? And what I'm putting out there that I'm making amends for something when really I have ulterior motives. This is one of the reasons that it's a really good idea to have a good sponsor to work through these things with, so we don't delude ourselves into thinking that we're cleaning our side of the street, is when in fact what we're trying to do is get a new apartment or a new car out of somebody. And then going on with the 10th step, as we work the first 9 steps, we prepare ourselves for the adventure of a new life. But when we approach step 10, we commence to put our AA way of living to practical use day by day in fair weather and foul. Then comes the acid test. Can we stay sober? and importantly, keep in emotional balance and live to good purpose under all conditions. And that, once again, it's not just about not drinking, it's about to keep in emotional balance and live to good purpose. It is a spiritual axiom that every time we are disturbed, no matter what the cause, there is something wrong with us. I always gave credit for that line to Dr. Paul and Dr. Alcoholic Addict. You know, the acceptance is the key. But it looks like he got it from somebody else. This next quote really relates very clearly to what's said by pretty much all Buddhist teachers. A burst of temper could spoil a day, and a well-nursed grudge could make us miserably ineffective. One of the things that Buddhists teach is that we can do untold damage to our karma by just having one outburst of anger. You know, after we've done weeks and months of good things, and boom, you know, I explode because I don't get the right parking space, and that's all undone. And so part of this process is the continuing deepening of the awareness of the things that cause me fear, that cause me discomfort, and cause me to lose my center, lose my balance over time. And there's certainly enough of those. It goes on. These emotional dry benders often led straight to the bottle. Other kinds of disturbances, jealousy, envy, self-pity, or hurt pride do the same thing. Nothing pays off like restraint of pen and tongue. We must avoid quick-tempered criticism and furious, power-driven argument. The same goes for sulking or silent scorn. These are emotional booby traps baited with pride and vengefulness. I don't know about you, but all these things can slip in at different times. And I think it's really well put. And finally, we begin to see that all people, including ourselves, are to some extent emotionally ill as well as frequently wrong. And then we approach true tolerance and see what real love for our fellows actually means. It will become more and more evident as we go forward that it is pointless to become angry or to get hurt by people who, like us, are suffering from the pains of growing up. And courtesy, kindness, justice, and love are the keynotes by which we may come into harmony with practically anybody. And you know, I can't really think of any quotes that can be more in line with the teachings that we're reading from the Buddhist teachings. When what I've included in this segment for this afternoon is the sixth of the Eightfold Path, is right effort or right diligence. The effort to restrain defilements, the effort to abandon defilements, the effort to develop wholesome states, and the effort to maintain wholesome states. So there's four things going on there. One is to stop doing, to cut back on our shortcomings, to cut back on the things that are causing us damage to the best of our ability. And then as soon as we can, it's to abandon those things that are not working well for us. And we move on to begin to develop wholesome states. And finally, we have to continue to work to maintain the wholesome states. Like that long-distance runner we were talking about. You know, first you stop eating the chips and the ice cream and you get off the couch. Maybe you cut down on the chips and the ice cream first, and then you cut them out, you get off the couch, then you start doing your exercise and your workout, you develop the skills to be a long-distance runner, and then you maintain those skills. Rather than starting and stopping, going in fits and spurts, being undisciplined, the right effort and the right diligence is essential to maintaining the path that we're on, regardless of the language we use. And So what I wanted to do in conjunction with that is a metta meditation. And I've mentioned what a metta meditation is, and it's a loving kindness meditation. That's what metta translates as, is loving kindness. And so I have another one of Jack Kornfield's efforts at doing a metta meditation. So how I'd like to start is to have you all sit in a position that's comfortable for you to maintain a meditative posture. And to start with, notice how your body is sitting on your respective seat or couch or floor. Notice your posture. Notice if you're erect. It's a good idea to be as vertical as you can without being rigid. Sit in a position so that you're not likely to put undue strain on your knees or your hips. And sometimes when people are on couches, they can be uncomfortably tilted back, which causes their neck to suffer. So if that you find out that's happening, feel free to move to another position like a chair. And now I'd like you, when you're ready, to settle into your meditation with your eyes either closed or at half-mast, taking all the time you need to settle down. There's no need to hurry, and there's no need to perform. Take a couple of deep breaths and let yourself know that you're beginning to meditate. That there's no need to become a good meditator. That there's no place to go, and there's no competition. And while I'm speaking, follow your breath and notice the noises inside and outside of this room. You may notice the sound of electricity in the walls, the traffic outdoors, as you follow your breath. And for those that are not comfortable following their breath, take a deep breath and let go of being good at this. And in a moment, I'm going to start a meditation on loving kindness. This meditation uses words, images, and feelings to evoke a loving kindness and friendliness towards oneself and others. With each recitation of the phrases, we are expressing intention, planting the seeds of love, of loving wishes over and over in our heart. For many of us, it's a bit odd to be thinking of having a loving heart. So if one recoils from that, or one finds it awkward, give yourself permission to be exactly where you are and to not worry about feeling like a fraud or being phony. So with a loving heart as the background, all that we attempt, all that we encounter will open and flow more easily. At the beginning, we're going to meditate for about 10 minutes silently, and then I'm going to begin to speak again. So in 1 minute, I will be quiet. And in the meantime, I want to give you permission to be exactly where you are and doing what you need to do to take care of yourself. Follow your breath, and you settle into your meditation. You notice the sounds in the room and outside of the room. You notice the parts of yourself that feel comfortable and feel uncomfortable. When you've learned what you needed to learn from the discomfort, feel free to adjust your body. As you meditate, explore your curiosity of what comes next, where you are, where you've been. Just let the thoughts come in without judgment. Note them as thinking or worrying, enjoying, and come back to your breath. Notice the judgment. Notice the criticism. Become aware and return to here and now. And now I'm going to be quiet for a few minutes. We're going to begin the loving kindness meditation, each of you with yourselves. Breathe in gently and recite inwardly the following traditional phrases directed towards your own well-being. You being with yourself because without loving yourself it is almost impossible to love others. Now repeat this to yourselves. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be safe from inner and outer dangers. May I be well in body and mind. May I be at ease and happy. We're going to repeat these phrases. As we do, picture yourself as you are now and hold that image in a heart of loving kindness. Or perhaps you'll find it easier to picture yourself as a young and beloved child. Maybe that will be difficult. Adjust the words and images in any way you wish. Create the exact phrases that best open your heart of kindness. We're going to repeat these phrases over and over again, letting the feelings permeate your body and mind. It's recommended that you practice this meditation for a number of weeks until the sense of loving kindness for yourself grows. Now say to yourself, may I be filled with loving kindness. May I be safe from inner and outer dangers. May I be well in body and mind. May I be at ease and be happy. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be safe from inner and outer dangers. May I be well in body and mind. May I be at peace and be happy. Be aware that this meditation may at times feel mechanical or awkward. It can also bring up feelings contrary to loving kindness, feelings of irritation and anger. If this happens, it's especially important to be patient, be kind towards yourself, allowing whatever arises to be received in a spirit of friendliness and kind affection. When you feel you have established a stronger sense of loving kindness for yourself, you can then expand your meditation to include others. At some point, we will move on to choosing a benefactor on whom to bestow your loving kindness. But again, be aware that we don't move on to extending loving kindness to others until we feel stronger in our loving kindness towards ourselves. Many of us will find it easier to bestow loving kindness on others than we do on ourselves. So if that's the case, be gentle with yourself and allow yourself to be exactly who you are at this time. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be safe from inner and outer dangers. May I be well in body and mind. May I be at ease and be happy. Now, if it's possible for you to choose a benefactor, someone who has taken care of you or helped you in some way, if you can choose a benefactor on whom to bestow loving kindness, you may do it as follows. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be safe from inner and outer dangers. May you be well in body and mind. May you be at ease and be happy. Let the image and feelings you have for your benefactor support the meditation. Whether the image or feelings are clear or not does not matter. In meditation, they will be subject to change. Simply continue to plant the seeds of loving wishes, repeating the phrases gently, no matter what arises. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be safe from inner and outer dangers. May you be well in body and mind. May you be at ease and be happy. Expressing gratitude to our benefactor is a natural form of love. In fact, some people find loving kindness for themselves so hard they begin their practice with a benefactor. This too is fine. The rule in loving kindness practice is to follow the way that most easily opens your heart. When loving kindness for your benefactor has developed, you can gradually begin to include other people in your meditation. Picturing each beloved person, recite inwardly the same phrases, evoking a sense of loving kindness for each person in turn. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be safe from inner and outer dangers. May you be well in body and mind. May you be at ease and happy. After this, you can include others. Spend some time wishing well to a wider circle of friends. And gradually extend your meditation to picture and include community members, neighbors, people everywhere, animals, all beings, and the whole earth. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be safe from inner and outer dangers. May you be well in body and mind. May you be at ease and happy. Finally, when it's time, and this may or may not be the time, you may include the difficult people in your life, even your enemies, wishing that they too may be filled with loving kindness and peace. This will take practice, but as your heart opens first to loved ones and friends, you will find that in the end you won't want to close it anymore. Loving kindness can be practiced anywhere. You can use this meditation in traffic jams, in buses, and on planes. As you silently practice this meditation among people, you will come to feel a wonderful connection with them. The power of loving kindness. It will calm your mind and keep you connected to your heart. I'm going to repeat the meditation once more, and then we'll end with the bell. May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be safe for inner and outer dangers. May I be well in body and mind. May I be at ease and be happy. Take a minute to reorient. What did you experience? Now, in theory, a good number of you should have fallen asleep.
I was close.
What do you think that was about?
Feeling restful.
Say what?
Safe.
Mm-hmm.
Self-care.
Mm-hmm. This is hard. Ironically, it's hard for us to express loving kindness towards ourselves. So we escape. The third hindrance, sloth and torpor. If you've been traveling, if you've been working really hard, it makes sense when you start meditation practice to fall asleep. You're relaxing, out you go. Well, you've been practicing for a while, you've been sitting in meditation for days or weeks on end, and all of a sudden, you just can't stay awake. You're getting to something important. So as you're proceeding along the path to becoming diligent meditators, notice when you're falling asleep, it does not necessarily mean you're lazy or you've been eating too much sugar or you're bad in some other way. It's part of the process, and it's normal to check out when we get to stuff that is difficult. So you're all normal.
When I was meditating, I was conscious, but I'm not sure if I was asleep or not. What's that? I wasn't, I wasn't really asleep, but I wasn't really awake.
You may have been daydreaming.
Oh, okay.
Not a problem. It's just, it's another way to escape. Not a problem at all, very normal. Sometimes it takes a real long time to notice it, that's what it is, because it can be sort of fun. Anybody else have anything? Okay. Well, I have something that I wanted to go into. So, the first thing I had to accept as an alcoholic and a drug addict was the first step. It took me a number of years. And it wasn't like I was willfully trying to avoid the first step. To a large extent, it was because I didn't understand and I didn't know what was going on. And when people were trying to teach me, I was not able to hear them. So there may have been some issue of the skillfulness of the teacher, and there was definitely an issue of the willingness of the student. So the first big acceptance for me was the first step. And probably everybody here has been forced to read Dr. Alcoholic Addict, and now acceptance is the key. About whenever we're not accepting something, whenever we're angry, whenever we're having a problem, acceptance is the answer. I don't know that I would go that far to say that, but certainly a great deal of my life when I'm having problems is because I can't accept the reality of a situation. And in this case, acceptance means seeing things in their completeness, and seeing the whole picture, not necessarily approving or liking it, but simply going, oh, I'm alcoholic, and that's okay, rather than I'm alcoholic, and I refuse to accept that. My life is over. So, as I've been sitting in meetings for a long time, and studying the things that we're studying, I've decided that the real acceptance that I need to get my arms around, at least temporarily, is that we're all going to die. And I know there's a couple of people in this room that have heard the 5 remembrances. The 5 remembrances, the version I have, are it's quoted from Thich Nhat Hanh. But I think they're foundational thoughts for me to live by, to the best of my ability at any given time. And I expect that my ability will diminish at various times, and I will go from being all sorts of spiritual and gracious to a raving lunatic at various times when it becomes my turn to face declining health, old age, and death. But for now, what I'm trying to do is habitually get myself into a position where I'm inclined to be accepting of what's coming in the future rather than inclined to live in denial of it. And so the 5 remembrances are as follows. I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. That's not totally true. I mean, you can just die. But I am of the nature to grow old. There is no way to escape growing old. I'm of the nature to have ill health. There's no way to escape ill health. I'm of the nature to die. There's no way to escape death. All that is dear to me and everyone I love are of the nature to change. There is no way to escape being separated from them. And finally, the fifth remembrance, my actions are my only true belongings. I cannot escape the consequences of my actions. My actions are the ground upon which I stand. So, what a downer. Yeah, giving the 5 remembrances to somebody that's not expecting them can really lead to an interesting response. But most of the suffering that we're talking about here comes about as a result of our inability or refusal to live in a state of acceptance of these 5 remembrances. So yeah, I say that, and I want to acknowledge that if I were to get a diagnosis tomorrow, some terminal thing that's going to be slow and painful, or fast and very painful, I can't really say, oh, no problem, I'm pretty highly evolved, I'll just deal with that, and I'll be gracious and an inspiration to all the people that come visit me. Yeah, I could be a real dick. You know, I just don't know. But what I'm hoping to do is to practice this stuff that we're talking about so that I can start more skillfully to let go of my attachments to everything, to the house, to the car. You know, when I think of letting go of Terry, it actually gets a bit more difficult. But this is our work. Our work is to learn how to love life and not be attached to life. How to be in love but not be attached to being in love. How to live with and without these things, these people, these things that are important to us without clinging. This is a particularly difficult thing for parents with children, and for some of us, for us as children with our parents. It's very difficult to discern when am I parenting and when am I clinging. One way to tell is when I'm parenting, I can often keep a fairly balanced outlook, and I'm not a maniac. When I'm clinging, they need to change and they need to be different. And I'm stressed, and I find myself becoming angry and self-righteous. So, to be in love without being attached to being in love. To parent without being attached to the children. And that's a lot of the work in snippets to be what I would like to be, which is to be centered and balanced and present most of the time. And I don't think for me in this life I'm going to get beyond most of the time. You know, there'll be some times when it's too much for me, and I'll conduct myself in ways that I don't like, and I'll need to do 10 steps. But I would like those times to become fewer and farther between and less intense, and me to, in a skillful way, own my part in it and get over it, and fix the damage that I've done. And you know, for me, that's what I'm shooting for now. That's pretty much all I had on that. Does anybody have any thoughts?